Chill. This is the first time doing it over on the YouTube. The, yeah, so we'll see how this works. We've already had technical difficulties, but I feel like that's just kind of like my brand. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring in our guest today. I'm so excited. All right, come on in, Jessica.
Hey.
Hey, I can hear you and everything.
Awesome.
So exciting. Um, so welcome to Knitflix and Chill.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. And can I just say, like, how can we explain how all of this happened? Because I feel like we should make it very clear that, like, either you're a psychic or
Something.
this is not jumping on the trend.
Yeah.
You started the trend.
Yeah.
All right. So I reached out to Jessica and I, of course, wanted to have you on the podcast. And I asked you, what is your guilty pleasure television show or movie? And you said,
Cinderella with Brandy.
yes. The excitement that I felt when I got that message was like it's not even on the scale. It was at like 102. So let's back up a little bit. Tell everyone who you are, how we know each other, all of the yarny things.
Okay, yeah. So I am Jessica Culligan. I work for Coco Knits. I'm the operations director there. So I kind of oversee the team and I do all of the like shipping and inventory and finance stuff. And also, of course, like test the products and make use of all the products in my project bag. um,
Yeah,
and
it seems like it would be a very tempting place to work. Like just very so much.
Yeah, thankfully we are all remote, so I don't have any sort of like, craft room, like company craft room that I like get to go lost in or whatever. Like Julie, the founder and owner of Coconuts, is very generous though, and she always sends us, all of the products to test before when she's like made prototypes. She actually just got some samples of some new products today and she put them in the mail to all of us. So
nice.
I'm excited. I'll get a gift surprise in the mail next week.
Nice. I was organizing my yarn stash.
It's beautiful.
It's getting there. It's getting there. But I just moved, and there's an entire drawer down there that's like half of it is Coco Knit.
Yay!
I was unboxing things, and I was like, "Oh, I might have a problem."
Yeah, or whatever.
Yeah, or whatever. I'm embracing it. It's fine. So,
Yeah.
what are you working on? What's on your needles or are you a knitter or a crochet?
Oof. I'm a knitter. I was thinking about this. I was like, what do I show you is on my needles? Like whatever. Like I feel so seen whenever you do your like questions on Instagram that you're answering or your like rants and you say like anything about having a million works in progress.
Yeah.
I have so many. I have like a whole little like folding table over here that's like with all of my projects that I gathered today for like various rooms in my house. But yeah, so right now I'm actually like currently the thing I'm actually knitting like at night is the Pearl Soho woodcutter blanket.
Ooh.
Like, oh my God. So, okay, so it was like just in their newsletter a couple weeks ago, and it is this like gorgeous yarn.
Ooh.
Right? It's like a really nice little pattern. It has like chevron vibes. It is different. And it's I think like an organic cotton and wool blend, like a new yarn that they launched. That's on brand for Pearl Soho, like goes with like a beautiful simple pattern. And so my friend who is having a baby and is also a knitter, she asked me if I would knit this for her. And so I'm knitting it for her. And I would only knit this for a knitter because it is an expensive, labor-intensive baby blanket.
At least every step of that process will be appreciated. Like,
yes,
she's gonna appreciate that you made it and how much time goes into making it. She's gonna appreciate the price of the yarn. Like,
yeah,
the gift will be appreciated rather than someone who's just like, thanks.
Yeah, totally. And then like throws in the dryer.
My heart just like
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
Like in October, just scary stories for knitters and creators.
Yes.
I might have to have you back on and we'll do that.
Yeah.
So, if this is your first time watching one of my live broadcasts, usually I do it over on Instagram. Today is the first one on YouTube. And I bring knitters and crafters on to talk about guilty pleasures and, of course, knitting, because I think the two things go hand in hand, like binge watching and crafting. I don't know. I find them to be one and the same.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, the things happen at the exact same time. So, we are going to be talking about the 1997 Cinderella, aka Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella, aka Brandy and Whitney Houston's Cinderella.
Yeah.
Like, let's just be honest. That's
Mm-hmm.
it is. So why did you pick this movie? However many years later, how did this pop into your mind?
It kind of was at the forefront of my mind because I introduced this movie to my niece last year, and she was 4 years old at the time, and she had like her first ever sleepover at my house, and it was like I was so excited, and so she like thought, I mean, she thinks that I'm like the cool aunt because I like watched Descendants with her and was like, yeah, I'm cool. I watched Descendants, whatever. Yeah. And so I have Cinderella on DVD because it wasn't anywhere. So like I was 10 years old when this was on TV for the first time. And I was immediately completely obsessed. I mean, how can you not be? And so I like my whole life I've been like, why is there no soundtrack anywhere?
Like, I actually do know the answer to that.
Yeah, I'm sure it has to do with like rights and royalties to Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, like, so basically I was like, well, I have to buy the DVD because I need this in my life and it's not just like gonna remain a children's movie for me. So like, packing up my stuff for college, I brought my Cinderella DVD.
I love that you had it on DVD because I only had the VHS version. And
yeah.
like, I have not been able to watch it since childhood.
Oh my gosh. That's heartbreaking because it's amazing. I watch it like at least once a year.
Well, that's healthy. Like, that is the right way to do it.
Yeah, it's so great. And so when I was watching it with my niece, like, how like kids can sometimes really like channel the teenage vibes. And so we're watching it and I'm of course singing along. Like, you can't watch it and not sing. So I'm singing along full volume. She can't hear the movie.
It's no longer about her.
Yeah. And she just looks at me and she's like, Aunt Jess, you're singing again. I'm just like, oh my God.
Yeah, welcome to my concert.
Yeah. It's like, you can sing too. Learn the words.
Catch up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. But
like, I watched this for the first, well, because you brought this up and then Disney announced, like, coincidentally.
Yeah, no, they're listening to me. They know I'm a trendsetter.
Obviously.
Yeah.
They announced that it was coming to Disney Plus. And I think I found out about that from you messaging me, being like, have you seen this? I'm so excited. And rewatched it just like a few weeks ago, knowing that this was coming up. And I did not realize, because I have not seen it since I was a kid, I didn't realize the emotional reaction that I would have to rewatching this movie.
Yeah.
Like, what a big impact it had on my childhood. And like, I knew all of the words.
Mm-hmm.
Like, childhood birthday memories, never mind. My like, you don't need that. You don't need algebra. Like, no. It's fine. Put that in the corner. All of the lyrics to 1997's Made by the movie Cinderella we're keeping that. And it was just in my brain.
It's amazing. Yeah. No, same thing. Like, I love the movie so much, and watching it again, even though I've seen it since childhood, watching it again this time, and like kind of putting on my like film student hat because I was a film studies minor,
Amazing.
and so I was watching it and just totally geeking out about the complexity of the way that they put this together. I mean, there is, slapstick comedy, there's really like intellectual comedy, there's stuff that they, hint at they have innuendo in it and whatever, but then they also have this incredible emotional range to it of like it being a very serious story in so many different directions. And I saw something, when it came out on Disney, I saw somebody say something to the effect of, hot take, this is Cinderella with Brandy and Cinderella 1997. It's better than the original on Broadway with Julie Andrews. And I was like, that's not a hot take. It's like 100% a better version. It's just more dynamic. And it's really a wonderful movie. I love it so much.
I mean, as I was watching it back, I realized how good it was. Because
Mhm.
like you have memories of things from your childhood, and then you go back and you
Yeah, they
rewatch.
don't hold up.
Yeah, there's certain jokes in there where you're just like,
Yeah.
But this movie, so good.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were robbed of an Emmy, and I will say it here and now.
I 100% agree. I mean,
Emmy. Let's get
yeah.
the change.org petition. Let's get that started tonight.
Yeah.
So, were you Team Brandy or Team Monica when you were a kid, or did none of that play into this when you were?
I was Team Brandy. I think though it was like kind of controversial for me because I'm an alto. And so when I would sing The Boy Is Mine, sometimes I would slip into Monica, then I would slip into Brandy. Yeah, I was like I couldn't stay in my lane if I was singing a duet with
That's
someone.
kind of good, I remember like in school when we would be trying to do that. There
Of course.
No take the Monica part.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Monica, icon, but no one wanted to do that role. So you would have been very popular in the lunch.
Well, yeah, I would have been duetting with everyone, but also stepping on their toes, like trying to sing the Brandy part, like also.
Can I do both? Why not?
Yeah.
So let's kind of get into the film and kind of like talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I have so many notes. I know you were like, we don't need to do a formal thing. I'm like, no, but I have notes.
I love it. Perfect. So I love it when people come on here and they're just as passionate about the guilty pleasures. Makes my life so
awesome.
But a little bit of behind the scenes, I did not realize that Whitney Houston was a co-producer on this movie and how much of an impact she had on like the production of the film and kind of getting it made, and also the shift from, because I didn't see the Julie Andrews one. Oops, knocked my computer.
I think it was just on Broadway. I've only heard the soundtrack.
I've seen like clips of it since then. I'm gonna actually have to go research and try and track it down. But yeah, so apparently she switched the character of Cinderella up a little bit and wanted to have her be a little bit more like self-assured and independent. And I mean, that is what makes this version so great. And I did not realize that Whitney Houston had a hand in that, and Princess Diaries. She obviously impacted my childhood.
Yeah.
But so this movie begins with the iconic Whitney Houston giving us just a little taste of impossible, and in her gold dress, her iconic gold dress.
Yeah, I need that in my life.
Yeah, the jewels and the bat wings and the hair and the swirls, which are everywhere in this movie.
I feel like that impacted my fashion a lot. Like I was like swirls everywhere, like gold sparkly swirls on everything. Like I think I had multiple like dangly earrings that were just like swirls, like things. Yeah.
You know, I didn't make the connection between that and Whitney Houston,
Yeah.
but obviously they're connected.
Yep.
Okay, so the songs in this movie are on another level. Just every single one of them is fantastic. And start off with a great one with Brandy singing The Sweetest Sound. And then we also get introduced to Prince Christopher, who's dressed as a peasant. They have a cute little meet cute in the market. And the harmonizing is
I cannot even. It's
so good.
It like gets me. I feel like so emotional when I hear it. I'm like, they're in the market and the harmonies. And then of course I'm singing his part.
Again, so popular at the so good. I'm not gonna bless you guys with my singing voice. Just know it is on that level when I hear it in my head. So I also want to say that he is the hottest Disney prince.
Oh yes, yes. I mean, he's the hottest and most fashionable. Like his confidence in pulling off these really loud, intense, lots of textures and colors happening. Like it makes him even hotter.
Yeah. I mean, I would say potentially the Beast from Beauty and the Beast as the Beast, not as the Prince. Maybe, okay. But Prince Christopher is right up there.
Yeah. Before we move away from this scene, can we please address that Brandy's peasant outfit, or Cinderella, whatever, not fashionable outfit, is like a chenille cardigan, and it's like 100% something I would have worn at the time.
It's so good. I was making notes and I was just like, do I need to make a cardigan right now?
Yeah, I think we all need chenille cardigans in our life.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be happening this weekend. So, another iconic moment from this scene before we move on is that he is dressed as a peasant and they have a very cute little meet cute. And he says, like, how should a girl be treated? Like a princess? And she's like, no, like a person with dignity and respect. And it's just what a young girl.
Yeah. Totally. I can't hear you very well. I don't know if it's
really.
Okay, wait, now I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Oh yeah, now I can really hear you.
Okay. All right, there we go. Okay. So, yes, dignity and respect. And we also learn after he goes back to the royal family that the royal family is made up of Whoopi Goldberg as the queen, Victor Garber, who plays the king, and even though he's not in the family, I'm going to count him, Jason Alexander, who plays Lionel. And I did not, as a kid, notice or care about the ethnicity, racial makeup of this trio of royal family. It did not play into my brain at all. And it's just another reason why this movie is so good.
Yeah, no, it didn't register with me at all. But the thing that did stick with me is I love Whoopi Goldberg, and I like kind of weird tangent, and we don't need to get into this but like, so my parents got divorced kind of around the time this movie came out, and like, so then when my dad was living, in like a divorced dad condo kind of thing, we didn't have cable, and people from work gave him like some VHSs so that like when we visited him on the weekends, we could like watch some movies or whatever. And again,
I was too easily, Jessica.
I'm sorry. This will make up for it. Okay, you'll laugh in a second. Okay, so again, these people gave him videos, and we watched them, one of the movies, I'm 10 years old at the time and I'm the oldest child, okay, is a Whoopi Goldberg film called Jumping Jack Flash, which is 100% rated R. And one of my favorite movies now. But it is so inappropriate.
But it was Have you gone back and seen it as an adult?
Yeah, and I still love it. It is not good, but I love it so much.
That's hilarious. The things that we were like totally fine with watching as kids, when I go back and I think about it, it's
yeah. Like, please look up the movie at some point. It is, oh my gosh, it is a really entertaining movie. Whoopi Goldberg is amazing in it. Basically, the premise of the movie is she's a bank teller, so she has access to like the internet in the 80s, and she helps, she accidentally kind of gets connected with a spy who's stuck in Russia, and she helps him get out of Russia by like dressing up like Tina Turner and crashing a big gala and like doing crazy things. Or sorry, no, she's wearing a Tina Turner wig, but she is supposed to be Diana Ross.
That sounds even better.
It is such a funny movie. Anyway, so I went from loving her in Cinderella to loving her in this rated R spy movie.
That's great. But yeah, she's awesome in this and hilarious. And the thing that I love so much about the king and the queen, their relationship is so healthy.
Yeah. I love anytime they're communicating. Just love it. It's so funny.
They're so like, they both understand each other. They're funny. You can tell they've been together for a very long time. It's delightful to watch. But basically the gist is, I mean, you guys know Cinderella. He needs to get married. He doesn't really want to get married. But in this version, it's the queen who's kind of pushing the marriage thing. I think usually it's the king in most versions of Cinderella. And she goes behind his back and plans the ball. And so, okay, wait. Ooh, my computer keeps jumping. I'm sorry. Yes. So let's talk about the fashion in this movie for just a brief second, because all of the royals kind of consistently dress in different shades of purple. And including Lionel, even though he's not technically in there, but it does kind of group him in there. And the fashion throughout the entire movie is
it's incredible. I love looking at it. I love, like, you know, cosplaying or whatever I'm doing right now. I just like, I love the colors and the textures, the different fabrics that they put together. There's a lot of velvet and silks. I love all of the satin, like all of the like brocade things that they have going on. I love it all.
A lot of jewel tones throughout the whole thing, even in the set too, which is, the set itself is on another level. We get to see like a little bit more of it as they go into the market, and just how many extras were used. Like, this is a made for television movie, but the budget was not spared on this production of Cinderella.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I also loved that even with all of this whimsy and over the top, kind of magical feeling attire, that they find a way to get that hat that the stepsisters are fighting over in the beginning. Like, that hat feels out of place.
Yes.
Even though it's like, everything is crazy.
But that's true. It's like the set is over the top, the colors and everything you're seeing is pretty much over the top. But when you meet Bernadette Peters, who plays the stepmother, and the two stepsisters, who are just fantastic in this movie. Unfortunately, we did lose one of them right before this came out. But everything is over the top, but what they are wearing is particularly over the top in every level. Their colors are kind of like taken up a notch, and they go for, it's like they're trying to fit in and they're trying to do the, classy thing, but it doesn't quite fit, doesn't quite match with what everybody else is doing, which I don't know who the costume designer was for this movie, but A+ says so much.
Yeah.
So good. So then speaking of Bernadette Peters, we do get to meet Bernadette Peters, and we see their home a little bit more when they go back to the home. And speaking of over the top, can you just kind of like describe this home for people who have not seen this movie?
Yeah. Their home is like the most magical little hovel. And there are no right angles at all. So everything is swooping doorways, like staircases that are it's like Art Nouveau lines with just crazy like early 2000s, even though it was made in 1987. I feel like early 2000s color palette, it's almost like, I don't know. Yeah, lots of jewel tones and lots of gold, but then other things that you wouldn't put together, bright oranges, lime greens, lots of just your eye doesn't know where to go. And then the outside of it also has like is this the right artist? Kandinsky?
Yes, I was thinking that too.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Like it is very artistically inspired, but it looks completely like of its own style. Yeah.
Fantastic job. So we also get an introduction of a kind of interesting idea, which is when Cinderella kind of goes back to her own little corner in her own little room. And she's talking about kind of staying in her comfort zone. And so we kind of learned that Cinderella in some way is choosing this situation. Staying in your comfort zone is comfortable, and I just thought that was like, as an adult looking back, I don't know if I necessarily picked up on that as a child. Maybe I did, but as an adult looking back during this watch, I just thought that was kind of an interesting take on the Cinderella tale.
Yeah, and I think that it also, for me at least, highlights the importance of playing pretend, because it's where you get to explore what your interests are. Like what do you want to do? Like do you want to go hunt in the safari? Do you want to go like live in Japan? Like what do you want to do? So I feel like in some ways the song makes me really sad, because it is like she is trapped and being told to dim her shine, but on the other hand it's a safe place for her to explore. So yeah, there's a lot of duality with it.
There's definitely a lot of duality with that one. So unlike in other versions of Cinderella, kind of a little bit closer to the original, I was a fan of Ever After, and I just realized that is on Disney Plus too. So I will return that right after this.
Yeah.
In that
one I have on DVD.
Of course you do. Always one step ahead. But in that one, we have kind of a empathetic character in the stepsister, but this step family is truly awful on every level. They aren't great people. They're not particularly anything. They're all kind of obnoxious human beings. Bernadette Peters is pepping up her daughters to go to this ball, and she says kind of one of the best lines potentially of all time, which is, "We hide our flaws until after the wedding." And
yeah,
she is full of gems like that the entire time.
Yeah, I feel like seeing her say those things in such like one-liner kind of way, and also it being so clear that she's the villain, I think helped me kind of like have that little seed of feminism in my little child mind. Yeah, because it's like I can't remember the way she says it, but when she's lacing up the corset on her daughter and she's like, beauty is pain or whatever she says, and it's like, oof,
I don't want to be like that.
Yeah. And then when she's having them perform what they're gonna do to like woo the prince,
Yeah,
That
and
was
basically
upsetting.
stuff down their own personality traits, don't be too funny, don't be too loud, don't be yourself. Literally just hide who you are until after you have been married off. I definitely think that as a little kid that sunk in a little bit. I don't want to be like her.
Yeah,
Except for the fact that she's Bernadette Peters and she's fabulous.
totally. I think during that scene too, I was looking at her hair because she has a scarf wrapped all up in her hair as if it's holding in her curls to like keep them curled or whatever, but it's not. And I want to do that with my hair and a scarf, but like also seems very unnecessary.
Well, she has like this headband on her head, and it's kind of like a fake crown almost, but it's gold. It matches her hair. So it kind of holds up the scarf
That's
out of the way.
I'm gonna have to look at this more closely.
Yeah.
If we were on like a crime thing, I'd be like, zoom in on that.
Just pause.
Yeah. I need to know what this is and how to make it happen.
So they're basically getting ready to go to the ball, and their outfits again are kind of a step above this over the top world that we're already in, with like almost like a chandelier, not a chandelier, like a lamp. The one sister looks like she's wearing like a lamp shade.
Yes.
Multiple layered lamp
asymmetrical shade. Yeah, with the fringe.
Which is just, I would have loved to, I want to have an exhibition of these costumes.
Yes.
And just examine how
I would love that.
That would be amazing. So then after everybody is kind of off, headed to the ball, Cinderella's left behind, and we meet Whitney Houston as the stepmother officially, and we get Impossible, which is the song of the movie, I might say.
Yeah.
So it's all about, Cinderella is kind of wishing for a different life and dreaming about a different life, but she hasn't done anything to take the steps to make that life a reality. And Whitney Houston, as the stepmother, kind of explains to her that, people, and this really sunk in to me as a child, but people spend their whole lives dreaming about things and not necessarily doing anything about it. And so you can start making those steps at any point in your life to have a different life. You just have to start instead of just thinking about one day potentially having that off in the future. It's perfection.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always find myself at this point in the movie wanting to sing, but also being so captivated that I like don't, like it's such like a beautiful scene, so touching, also funny. I mean, there's so many funny things that happen, just little things throughout. And I think that speaks to just the way that they put this story together and, revived it for everyone. Because it didn't just say, okay, this scene is the serious scene where we're like telling her to love herself. They keep it dynamic. They didn't let anything become a two-dimensional moment.
Yeah. And I have to say, because, I've rewatched some of my childhood movies and some of the special effects don't quite hold up. As a 1997 movie goes, well done.
Yeah.
The transformation of the pumpkin into the carriage, the dress in particular turning into the Cinderella dress. Still, I mean, if I was a little kid, I'd buy it. It holds up.
Yeah, totally. And also about the dress, I loved that they had like Brandy really or Cinderella speak up for herself in that moment. Yeah. It wasn't just, look, someone came and saved you and like is giving you all the things you need. They were gonna like, okay, you have everything you need, right? And then she's like, I'm gonna wear this. Can you help me? Just a little bit more. Like they made her have a voice in that scene, which I like.
It's so true. There are so many moments where she has a voice and she has to stand up and save herself, which is really great. So again, I am not going to even kind of try and do this song. But I will say that the blue eyeshadow, great choice. We should bring that one back. So she is off to the ball and she is told, of course, that 12 o'clock she will turn back. Everything will go back. And Brandy is obviously stunning. She wows the prince when she walks in and she gives a curtsy, which is graceful and elegant. And it wasn't until I watched this back just recently that I really identified with the Stepsisters song that they sing when Brandy and the prince are having their moment in the garden. Like, they bring up a super valid point that I totally missed as a kid, which is like, yeah, you're gonna fall in love with the perfect, like, she's literally Brandy. Like,
yeah. It's like, okay, if you're into that, whatever.
If you're into that perfection,
yeah.
Like, why can't I think like the line is just like, why can't they ever fall in love with like me, just like a normal person? And obviously they're terrible, but also facts.
Yeah. I think that because, like I said, I watch this movie like every year at least once. That really hit me when I was like in my teenage years. Watching it and being like, yeah, valid. Like, this is my song.
I mean, honestly, facts. And like later, Cinderella and the Prince have a song where they're talking about, like, do I love you because you're beautiful, or are you beautiful because I love you? And vice versa. But it's also just like, no, you're two beautiful people.
Yeah. All of this is true. Yeah. You're just 100% all of that.
Yes to all of these things.
Yeah.
But obviously we love them. We're very happy. And clock strikes 12. Cinderella has to
wait
run
before
out.
We move from the ball. I need to talk about something.
Oh, okay.
So I have never been one of those people who like planned my wedding as a child. Like I'm married now and I have planned my wedding. It was amazing. But like as a kid, I didn't like dream of like, oh, when I get married, I want to do this and that and like whatever. However, whenever I would watch this scene, I would be like, I need to have a wedding or do something in which I can make everyone wear shades of the same color. Because like, this is awesome. Like, yeah, parties don't look great. When everyone's wearing whatever the hell they want, they should all wear the same color. I want every guest, whatever. So when I had my wedding, I didn't mandate that people wear the same color, but I made it very clear on my website, like what the wedding colors were, if people wanted to wear those colors.
Just a suggestion.
Yeah, like if you want to wear this, like these are the wedding colors.
If you haven't gotten an outfit yet, then why not one of these?
Yeah.
I had a very, like, there were certain moments watching this back where I had just like a vivid memory of watching it. But during the ball, there's somebody in the background who's wearing, it's like a blue, well, they're all blue dresses, but this one was like a blue dress and it has like gold details underneath and then just like sheer overlay of purple. And I just remember as a kid being like, I need that dress. What can I do to get that dress in my life?
I mean, I want all of the dresses in this, except maybe like some of the full velvet ones that are like florals. I don't need those.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, oh my gosh, my dad made all of my Halloween costumes pretty much up until I was like, too cool for that. Like, totally did not appreciate how much time and effort went into making Halloween costumes for two little girls. But obviously I was obsessed with Cinderella. I was like, I'm being Cinderella for Halloween. And my dad did not realize the full importance of the dress being blue.
Oh.
So he made it gold. And I was like, okay, it's fine. I still feel like a princess. I'm still Cinderella. And I just remember I went to school and the teacher was like, oh my gosh, Cleopatra. And I was like, no.
ring bell, but okay. Cleopatra, wow.
Like, no. I was like, I'm Cinderella. And she's like,
Are you? Yeah.
Devastated. My little
super traumatizing.
So traumatizing. Still traumatized by that, obviously. So when we come back from the commercial break, because I do love that there are just like fades to black in this version because it was made for television. We get probably my favorite song of the whole movie, which is when Brandy is at home and her step siblings, her stepmom comes in and they're pretending like they had a wonderful time at the ball. And she's pretending like she did not go to the ball, but she wants to kind of describe what it might have been like. A Lovely Night is my favorite song of the movie.
Mine too.
It's so good.
So I have 2 younger sisters, and we all like have various points throughout our lives, like when we're together, cooking in the kitchen, whatever, we'll just burst into that song. Like it is our favorite song. Like I love it so much. I think I love that it starts off as this like very like, introspective Brandy song. Like it's totally a Brandy song, right? And like she's just like, oh my God, it was so amazing. Like there were lights, there was a band, like whatever. And then it turns like by the end of it, it's like almost a campy song, like, I mean, like the stepsisters are like acting out the prince, dancing with the prince and being like really silly. And I love
say, darling, I love you. I found myself, I was like rewatching it again, haven't seen this in years. And I heard myself say that in the voice. And I was just like, where did that come from? Just deep inside my soul. It's so good. But it also leads to Brandy doing the curtsy again, which leads Bernadette Peters, aka her stepmom, to figure out that she is in fact the mysterious princess from the ball. And also I do want to pause and say during the song we get to see more of the home and those like red chairs that are curved and then have a gold tassel at the top of them.
Like, why? Okay,
just,
sure.
Why, how, who made them? Can I get them for my current home? Someone leave all of those answers in the comments below. But so at this moment, Bernadette Peters delivers maybe one of the most devastating insults in movie history. I think I can say this. Where Brandy is asking just why couldn't it be me? Why? And she turns to her and she says, "You're common." And just like,
just like, and you're always going to be common. Like,
your mother was common and so are you. Just.
Yeah. And so shattering. Yeah.
No cursing, no like deeply, nothing. Just you're common.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Mic drop.
Yep.
So nothing more to say. And then, so Brandy's in her garden and Whitney Houston basically tells her that he didn't fall in love with her because of her dress or her hair or anything. And it wasn't until this moment that I kind of realized Cinderella doesn't really have to leave the ball at 12. She did choose to leave the ball at 12. Yes, it would have been extremely embarrassing to like magically turn into a peasant, but that is a choice, to leave the ball. And basically Whitney Houston's like, he was in love with you, like with you and who you are, and not any of the fake stuff that I gave you. So obviously the prince is going to search for Cinderella, fast forwarding through the shoe search. But I do want to say the tights in this movie.
Love. Oh my God. Yeah.
Just like different shades of tie-dye tights.
Striped, like some with weird, like flower, like 70s flower things,
and
like
polka dots and
Mhm.
Technicolor and just
Like, where did they even find these? How do
that's
you
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know. They're great.
A
Like, I
moment of
love it.
a moment for these tights, just so good. But basically, Brandy ends up getting locked in the kitchen by her stepmother, who does not want her to be found during the shoe search. And the thing that I love about this movie is that instead of the prince barging into the door and, saving Cinderella from this horrible situation, she saves herself. She goes out the window or something, and
Or just the other door. I
or
think
just
it was
the other door
yeah.
somehow.
I wanna see a blueprint of this house because there's also, like, one room upstairs.
I would like a blueprint too,
Yeah.
actually. And I would also actually like to buy it if it is a real house that they
Yes,
put this on.
totally. I want this house. I wanna, like, buy a bunch of land and just, like, put a bunch of really cute fairy tale cottages on it and then have all my friends live there. Would that be
Do
fun?
it. I fully support this idea.
Okay.
So she saves herself and ends up running into the prince on his way back to the carriage, and they have a little meet cute, which is very similar to how they met in the beginning of the movie. And we also get at the end of the movie kind of a message from Whitney Houston to
My other favorite song.
well, yeah. I mean, everything Whitney Houston is obviously just on the list above everything else. Uh, but she's basically not just telling Brandy, but the audience and the kids that are watching that music and magic is inside of us. Like it's inside of all of us. Um, you can move mountains. You just have to try. You just have to go for it. Um, it's so good.
It's so good. It's so, so good. I love this movie so much, and I think the only other movie that, like, has given me the same or, like, similar feelings in terms of the, like, thematic things that it's teaching to children, is the new Wrinkle in Time
Oh, I
that
haven't seen that.
oh my god, what?
I know.
Okay, well, you have to watch it.
Is that my homework?
It is your homework. I love this movie so much. First of all, Ava DuVernay, like, first Black woman to have, like, this huge
I know.
movie, like, I mean, she did an amazing job. Oprah's amazing, like, Reese Witherspoon, Mindy Kaling. Like, how have you not seen this?
I know. But you know what? I also watch things like 10 to 15 years
Okay.
after they are already a thing.
That's fine.
And then I go to my friends and I'm like, "Have you guys seen Mad Men? It's so good." And they're like, "You mean the highly popular show that was on like 5 years ago?" Yeah. Yeah, we've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my
So it's one of my favorite books, which is why I was excited for the movie. But basically, it's a beautiful story. I mean, it's not a musical, so but it's a beautiful story about a family and about love and children being empowered and to make their own choices, to have autonomy, and think critically about things and just know that, like, they make an impact. They don't have to wait till they're an adult to make an impact. I love it so much. Anyway, it has the same feels as this.
I will try it. So I see Making a Life in the background on your shelf. Are you reading anything now?
I'm not, like, reading any craft stuff right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm knitting a lot and kind of just going with whatever I'm feeling. I feel like I'm not doing a lot of study. I started trying to spin again.
Oh, I've never actually done that. I'm a little bit intimidated, I have to admit.
I mean, a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's easy once you get into the rhythm," and it's like, no, it's kind of intimidating, kind of scary, and, like,
Yeah.
I think the tools make a big difference. Like, so I've done like drop spindle spinning, and I've done Russian spindle spinning, which is just where you like have a top basically and you don't drop it.
Okay,
but
actually, I think I would be more into that.
yeah, I really
Is that
like
easier?
I like it because I don't feel like I'm like having to get something before it drops on the floor.
Yes.
Like there's not this like, I don't know. There is, I feel like with all spinning, which is why I'm getting kind of hung up, learning it, there is this like timing piece. You know,
Yes.
like it's catching, like you have to get the tension right, the spin has to be right. And so like I have a small floor, you know, wheel that I'm trying to use, and I think that it's not the right tool for me to learn on for wheel spinning, because I just start like swearing and crying every time I try to do it.
See, I always forget when learning a new skill that there is that period when, like, just as you start, where you're learning the new skill and you have to be bad at something in order to be good at something later.
Yeah.
And so I often find myself get stuck in that period, and then I don't just like push through to the other side of the,
Yeah.
the dip.
I'm the same way. Like, or if I am good at it right away, then I plateau. Like with weaving, like I'm like good at weaving, but I haven't like learned any more about it. Like,
You're like, check off.
yeah, like I made a shawl and then I made another one. Okay, we're good.
So, before we wrap things up, is there anything you want to plug? Do you guys have anything that you can talk about that's coming out for Coco Knits?
We have some new tools coming out later this year that I don't want to reveal yet.
Okay.
But I am very, very excited about it. I mean, we have like some new colors of existing things coming out soon. So we're doing kind of an earth tone palette of some things coming out, and that's really fun. But we have like a big new tool coming out, I think, in August, and I'm very excited. It's also one of the tools that like people who don't even fibercraft can use if they want. But I think a lot of people who knit and crochet really love this.
That's awesome. I always feel like whenever you guys put out a new tool, I'm just like, I didn't realize that was a problem for me, but it is, and now I need it.
I feel the same way. Anytime Julie designs something, I'm like, oh my God, yes. What?
Like that was a problem. I didn't realize it was a problem, but you're right.
Yeah, totally.
So I am very excited about all of that stuff. And all of your information is going to be linked in the description of this once it's on.
Can I plug a couple other things, not Coco Knits
plug away.
related?
Plug away.
Okay. Well, one thing is I have a website that like is not a thing that I'm actively like making a big deal, but I love.
Okay, wait. Why is it that we feel like we need to do those kind of just like
Totally.
disclaimers?
Okay.
We literally just heard Whitney Houston tell us that we have magic inside of us and that we are awesome human beings. So
you're right.
Don't disclaim it. You created something. So let's plug that.
I created a website with my sister called Bucket of Awesome. And it is basically a website where we just write kind of elevator pitches of things like TV shows, books, podcasts that are stories that we think are awesome and deserve to go in the bucket.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's not something that we update regularly. We've literally had this website for years, but we've been like trying to actually like write a little bit more regularly on it. But I find it really helpful just for remembering, oh yeah, I loved this. And like, or I'm in the mood for a show about witches. And then I like look at our witch tag and then like see all of the shows we've written about witches.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I also love that you're doing it with your sister. That's really special.
Yeah. My youngest sister is also, we call ourselves story addicts. So we just are constantly, like I have many knitting projects. I'm always reading 4 books at once, listening to a bunch of different podcasts, like, binge watching things and whatever. So she's the same way. And then our other sister is very artistic. So she's helping us kind of with like logo design and just kind of stuff like that.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really fun.
So nice.
Yeah.
So I will definitely be checking that out, and I will add that to the description on this
Thanks.
episode so people will be able to check that out too if you're watching this later. And is there anything else you want to plug?
Oh, just that I'm wearing my new earrings from Melanated Boho Bay.
Oh,
I love them.
Yeah. Love her. So I will add her link to the description as well because amazing. Speaking of bats, I do have some of her bats, which
Me too.
I got as inspiration to start spinning. I haven't started yet, but when I get at an okay level, that's my motivation to get to that level.
Yeah, I have a couple of her bats, and I also have bought like some of her yarn that she's spun or that she's dyed. Right now I'm also working on just a herringbone stitch kind of wrap out of her Bridgerton inspired yarn.
Ooh.
Yeah, I love it. And I also loved Bridgerton. That was amazing.
A lot of that. I almost brought that up today, but I think someone at some point will bring up Bridgerton. And so I'll have to cover Bridgerton at a totally different time.
Yes, make sure to include the Bridgerton musical thing that's happening on the internet. I don't know if you've fallen into that. Okay, so I love musicals. And apparently also a ton of other people love musicals. Who knew? There's a whole thing happening. I'll send you a link. It's if you just Google Bridgerton musical, it'll come up. Like, it's huge.
Please do, because I just recently went down a rabbit hole. I did not realize that Ever After was turned into a musical.
I didn't know that either.
And it is literally nowhere in existence because there are only like a couple of clips on the internet of them in, just like they're in the studio. They're trying to basically get funding. And what's his face from The Nanny, the father, he's in it.
Wow. Okay. Is this like one of those West End things? I feel like London, they're just
it was supposed to go on Broadway.
Oh.
And somehow nobody gave them money, so it just doesn't exist.
That's awful because it should exist.
Yes. So I went down a very deep rabbit hole trying to find information on the Ever After musical, and eventually I found a Google Doc in which somebody had
amazing.
found all of them and released it to the public. So if I can find that, I will send that to you.
Please do.
You can send me the musical for Bridgerton, and we'll do like a little musical swap.
I love it. Yeah, maybe we need like a musical book club kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, because one thing that I also did not touch on here is like I love musicals, and then like I love Cinderella and the fashion and the music and whatever. I also now as an adult am completely obsessed with Bollywood like epic dramas that are both musicals and have amazing fashion. That's so many things. I mean, I could talk to you for hours, so I'm sorry. I will stop. But this was so much fun.
This is my favorite thing to do, is to talk to people about their guilty pleasures. It's my favorite thing. But we will wrap things up here and now. All of this will also be, I'm going to download this and figure out how to get it onto the podcast as a podcast. And when that is up, that will be out wherever you listen to podcasts as well. So thank you so much, Jessica, for hanging out with me today and for dealing with my technical difficulties as always. And until next time, everybody, Knitflix and chill.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.